Everyone. We're happy to have you here. For those who don't know me, I'm Stephanie Sandala. I am Programming and Outreach Specialist here at Library Link, New Jersey. I am so excited for our first publisher book buzz for our inaugural summer book bash. I'm so personally thrilled to introduce you to Annie Mazies, Associate Director, Academic and Library Marketing at Workman Publishing, part of Hachette Book Group. Annie is going to show you their upcoming highlights and can't miss books. And at the end, we'll be giving away prizes to one lucky attendee. And with that, Annie, please take it away.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It was very exciting to hear from Stephanie. And I am still amazed after more than 10 or 11 years that I get to book talk to librarians. So thank you very much for being here. It is a wonderful, most favorite part of my job. I am going to share my screen because I have a lot of things to talk about today. As Stephanie said, I'm the Associate Director. Workman was purchased by Hachette Book Group about a year ago. So now I get to work with Melissa Nicholas at Hachette, and we are one wonderfully collaborative academic and library team. You will be seeing books today from Workman and from Hachette imprints. That's my email address. Please feel free to reach out. I think we'll probably have time at the end. I'm happy to answer any questions, no problem. If I have arcs of things, I'm happy to send them, so don't be shy. Yeah, you can reach us on social channels. I have a newsletter if you're interested. It goes out monthly, and that is a really good way to keep up on what we're publishing. And I try to not inundate you and make it actually readable, because sometimes I get newsletters and I'm like, that is a lot of text that I can't compute. Anyway, so I'll kick it off with Jackie and Me, which came out. So the first couple, 2 or 3 books I'm talking about have come out this summer in the last month or so, but they are books that are really starred reviews. I love them personally, so I wanted to make sure that you were aware of them, and then the rest of the titles will be things coming out through the fall. But Jackie and Me is by Louis Baird, who wrote The Pale Blue Eye. It's gotten 3 starred reviews. This is a perfect summer reading book. It takes place in 1951, before Jackie is Jackie Kennedy. She's still Jackie Bouvier. She meets Jack Kennedy. He's interested in her, but he doesn't have time, with his senatorial responsibilities and also his private extracurricular activities. But his best friend, Lem Billings, who was Jack Kennedy's best friend in real life from grade school onward, Jack sends Lem to sort of court Jackie. And so this book is about their friendship. So it's historical fiction. Louis Baird likes to say it's heavy on the fiction because it's more fun to write that way, but these characters are real. The timing is all accurate. But it's a beautiful story about 2 people who sacrifice and give so much of themselves for this third person, but who develop a really beautiful friendship amongst themselves. The Poet's House, honestly, this book did not appeal to me when I first heard about it. It did not seem like it would be in my wheelhouse of reading choices, but I'm so glad I read it. It's beautifully written. It's very lighthearted. It's a lovely story of this young woman, Carla, in her 20s. She's not really sure what direction her life is going in. And she finds herself working for Vivian, who is this lauded, aging poet. And Carla herself doesn't, she doesn't particularly understand the world of artists. And so she's completely surrounded by all these poets and artists and people who she's never been exposed to before. And she learns so much about herself. She learns so much about their community. She's fascinated by where Viridian fits in and how much she has sacrificed to be a woman in the arts. But it got 2 starred book list reviews. It's for readers of writers and lovers in the female persuasion. It's a really great read. Calling for a Blanket Dance is wonderful. Oscar Hokea is part of the community that he's writing about. This is his debut novel. And every chapter is told from a different perspective of a member of the main character, Evergumasaddle's family. So it starts with when he's a little baby, his parents, moves through all these people who are connected to him throughout his life, and the last chapter is from his point of view. So you have really impressive ability to write different narratives from different perspectives and different voices, and also representative of a community of Native Americans that don't often get an honest, authentic written about honestly and authentically. But I loved this book. You hear Oscar talk about it. It is just really wonderful. So I'm excited to see where he goes. Something a little bit different, Eat More Plants, coming out in a week or so. This is The Secret to Healthy Guts. These are all published in published order, so I'm going to be a little bit weird about like fiction, nonfiction. We're going to jump all over the place a little bit, but it's all chronological. So the secret to healthy gut is all of the microbes that exist in our digestive tract, and these microbes thrive on fiber, as many different types as they can get. So Dr. Megan Rossi has developed the diversity diet, a simple but very impressive way to eating that anyone can really adopt. And it'll help increase energy, improve your mood, lots of huge health benefits that I feel like we all could benefit from. Some of us maybe don't have the willpower to do it all the time, but it's a good place to start. But yeah, so there are plant points, so delicious fruits and veggies and grains and nuts and herbs, they all have different points. You add up to your plant points for the day. It's a 28-day challenge, tailored meal plans, more than 80 plant-packed recipes to get readers going in their new healthy lifestyle change. So urban foraging has become a really big thing lately. It's all over Instagram. And this book is very beautiful, stylish, scrumptious guide to wild crafting in an urban environment. There are how you can find them, how you can prepare them, harvest them. There are over 50 plants that you learn about. Lisa Rose is an expert forager, and she shares all the basic necessities for learning how to forage. There's tips for ethical and safe gathering, details on how you can use them in recipes. There are simple recipes throughout the book. But it's just a really fun, I feel like a lot of people, certainly early pandemic, wanted excuses for being outside. So this has become a bigger point of interest recently. And this is a great book to get started. Ithaca is coming out. This is from the multi-award winning author Claire North. It's a daring reimagining that brings to life the myth of Odysseus and his wife Penelope. It focuses on the women in a world filled with ruthless men. Penelope, obviously the famed wife of Odysseus, beyond Ithaca's shores, the whims of God dictated the wars of men, but on Ithaca itself, it was the choice of all the abandoned women and their goddesses that would change the course of their world. So if you love Circe, 1,000 Ships, this is a perfect read for that. The Third Reconstruction. In this book, distinguished historian Peniel E. Joseph offers a very powerful and personal new interpretation of recent history. The racial reckoning that unfolded in 2020, he argues, marked the climax of the Third Reconstruction, a new struggle for citizenship and dignity for Black Americans, just as momentous as the movements that arose after the Civil War and during the Civil Rights era. Joseph draws revealing connections and insights across centuries as he traces this Third Reconstruction from the election of Barack Obama to the rise of Black Lives Matter to the failed assault on the Capitol. Our Third Reconstruction offers a new chance to achieve Black dignity and citizenship at last, an opportunity to choose hope over fear. Complicities just got a start book list review. This is focusing on a woman, Suzanne, who had been married to Alan, kind of like a Bernie Madoff kind of guy who for decades defrauded people out of their money. And when it was revealed, he went to jail and she divorced him. And so she's had to start her life all over again. But this book really asks the question, who is responsible? And can you really claim that you didn't know anything that was going on when your whole life was very cushy because of it? This is for readers of The Glass Hotel or O. William. And it's just a really insightful, I think it's a good book club book. Less is Lost. I know this is a particularly beloved book of Melissa Nicholas, who is the head of our library and academic world. If you read Less by Andrew Sean Greer, that was the Pulitzer Prize winning book. This is the follow-up in this book, which was called Wildly Painfully Funny by David Sedaris. Arthur Less returns. He is on a road trip across America. It is just as funny and witty as Less was. It's a profound and joyous novel about the enigma of life in America, the riddle of love, and the stories that we tell ourselves along the way. Smart brevity. So when the authors of Smart Brevity worked at the Washington Post, web trackers, remember when like you would read articles and you have to click through from page 1, 2, 3, 4, back in the day before you just scrolled down. Web trackers revealed a very interesting truth that the vast majority of people did not click past page 1. So brevity is confidence, length is fear became the basis for smart brevity, which is the guiding principle that turned Politico and Axios into hugely influential media companies run by these authors. Smart brevity is a system and strategy that will teach anyone who works with words how to think more sharply, communicate more crisply, and save readers time. There are dozens of tips for choosing the right words, kicking bad habits, and staying provocative. Lark Ascending is, Silas House is just a beautiful soul. And if you have a chance to listen to him talk, please check him out. He wrote Southernmost a few years ago. This book features Lark, who is a young gay man trying to figure out the world around him. It's a light dystopian climate change fiction kind of a book. He lives in the not too distant future where America is a place where fundamentalists have sort of taken over and climate change is very real and is happening. And Ireland is one of the few countries that are accepting American refugees. So he put a bit of a twist on the immigration experience. Lark finds himself having to escape America with his family on a boat to Ireland. When he gets off in Ireland, he's the only member of his family to have survived. Not really a spoiler, that all happens early on because the focus of the book is Lark's journey. He finds a dog, he meets a woman who's also traveling alone, and the two of them are trying to figure out, how to create a new world for themselves. This is for readers of Station 11 and Migrations, but it's a really beautiful story of friendship and family and healing. You Are Not a Shitty Parent. I could have used this book early pandemic, but the best-selling author of How to Stop Losing Your Shit with Your Kids has an important message for stressed out parents and caregivers who want to do better. The secret to being a much more effective, more empathetic person and raising resilient, happy children is to practice self-compassion. Noon Omberg gives tangible steps for how to use each of the tips in this book to help reduce anxiety, trust your own instincts, move past guilt, and become a calmer, more confident person so you can be a calmer, more confident caregiver. This got Library Journal and Booklist Start reviews. Ejaculate Responsibly. I did have to say ejaculate in the mirror a few times before I talked about this book for the first time because it's not a word that I often use, but this book could not be more important in the time that we're living in. This is a series of 28 accessible and funny arguments reframing the abortion issue. Gabriel Blair deftly makes the case for moving the abortion debate away from controlling and legislating women's bodies, and instead directs the focus on men's lack of accountability in preventing unwanted pregnancies. This book stemmed from a series of tweets that went viral that Gabriel shared. She is a hugely successful entrepreneur and in the design world. But this book, I think, could be important and education. Ghetto, I know you're not supposed to have favorite children. This is like legit one of my favorite books that I've ever worked on. I think this book is stunning visually and it is filled with incredible information. It's a combination of social, political issues, but also a cookbook. And John Gray spoke at ALA and he was phenomenal and people were lined up to get this book. So I'm hopeful that it will appeal to a large swath of people. Ghetto Gastro is a Bronx-based creative and culinary collective. In their first book, they deliver a highly visual manifesto for living and eating to stimulate the mind, body, and heart. This book promotes Black excellence through recipes, art, and thought-provoking text. It arms readers with 75 recipes, the majority of which are plant-based, and more than 150 gorgeous photographs. There are contributions on topics ranging from the work of Black mothers to the importance of resistance and rebellion. It is a very powerful introductory book from the important voices in the food and design worlds. In Search of Common Ground, much has been written about our polarized media, social bubbles, intractable biases. award-winning journalist Bastian Berbner circled the world to find a different narrative. In Search of Common Ground is his profound collection of true stories that prove it is possible to mend even our fiercest divides. In Arizona, a former neo-Nazi befriends his Black parole officer. In Germany, an older couple dread the arrival of their new Roma neighbors, but are moved upon meeting them. In Ireland, there's a friendship that changes the world when a gay rights activist overturns a conservative mailman's homophobia, and together they help sway public opinion to legalize gay marriage. With added historical and sociological research, Berbner gets to the root of what pushes people apart and shows that we can dissolve divisions by simply meeting face to face. Change of scene. Cookbook. The Miracle of Salt. Naomi Dogood is a James Beard Award-winning author. She wrote Burma and the Taste of Persia, and The Miracle of Salt takes the same approach that those two books did. She's an amazing researcher and storyteller and chef. And this time she focuses on the world's single most important food ingredient, which rudely, you're supposed to eat less of when you get older, but that's just disappointing. But through stories and instructions and over 100 recipes, Dogood eliminates the many foods born from the power of salt and offers home-friendly recipes that highlight the nuances of its flavor. The Rescue Effect just got a booklist starred review. As climate change continues to intensify, the outlook of life on Earth often seems bleak. There are a lot of books on this list that seem bleak, but I have to say, I think that we do a really good job of curating the list so there's hope in all of the ones that deal with subject matters that could be potentially depressing. For example, this book. There's hope for the future. It can be found in The Rescue Effect, which is nature's innate ability to help organisms persist during hard times. The author of this book, Michael Meta Webster, reveals the science behind nature's inherent resilience through compelling stories of species that are adapting to the changing world. With rigorous research and gripping storytelling, this offers a cautious optimism that nature can help us save life on Earth. Rest is resistance. Tricia Hershey, aka the Nap Bishop, casts an illuminating light on our troubled relationship with rest and how to imagine and dream our way to a future where rest is exalted. Our worth does not reside in how much we produce. Rest in its simplest form becomes an act of resistance and a reclaiming of power because it exerts our most basic humanity. We are enough. Rest as Resistance is rooted in spiritual energy and centered in Black liberation, womanism, and Afrofuturism. With captivating storytelling and practical advice, it is a call to action, a field guide, a manifesto for all of us who are sleep deprived, searching for justice, and longing to be liberated from the oppressive grip of grind culture. In Somewhere Sisters, identical twins Isabella and Ha, who were born in Vietnam and raised on opposite sides of the world, are reunited. They each knew little about each other's existence until they were teenagers, and in this book, award-winning journalist Erika Hayasaki spent years interviewing each of the birth and adoptive family members and tells the girls' incredible story from their perspectives, challenging conceptions about adoption and what it means to give a child a good life. This would be for readers of All You Can Ever Know and An American Baby. Too Big for a Single Mind. How's everybody doing? Is it okay? Am I doing all right? Is the pace okay? Would you like me to go slower? Are we all right? Faster? You're like, okay, we're done with you. Too Big for a Single Mind. There may never be another era of science like the first half of the 20th century, when many of the most important physicists ever to live, Marie Curie, Max Planck, Wolfgang Pauli, Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, Ernst Schrödinger, Albert Einstein, came together to uncover the quantum world. In cinematic, page-turning chapters, Tobias Herter takes us back to this uniquely momentous and harrowing time when war and revolution upended the lives of his renegade scientists. As they crisscross Europe, Herter reveals these brilliant thinkers anew as friends, enemies, lovers, loners, and indeed men and women just like us. Maybe not just like me. I'm definitely much more of like a liberal arts kind of person. But Herter compellingly casts quantum mechanics as a concept too big for a single mind, and its birth as a testament to the boundless potential of genius in collaboration. Ooh, Blitz. I've not read this book. It's a Hachette publication from Little Brown, but I'm definitely going to get into this series because it sounds super good. This is a riveting new thriller in the Rook Files series. A new recruit to the most powerful supernatural intelligence agency on Earth is accused of going rogue and must go on the run to clear her name. As she fights off powered thugs and her own vengeful colleagues, Lynn will find that the solution to the murders and to the mystery of her own past lies in events that occurred during World War II and the covert actions of 3 young women during the Blitz. American Roots is an inspiring celebration of the wide-ranging styles that define the modern American garden, as revealed through the home gardens of 20 of the most important designers and creatives working today. Lushly photographed and covering all of the regions of the country, the profiles dive into design influences, share the backstories of the gardens and their creators, and include design tips and plant suggestions. This book will guide and encourage anyone looking to dig more deeply into their own home garden. Inciting Joy. Ross Gay is a brilliant, amazing human person, and I hope that all of you have had the opportunity to delve into the Book of Delights. This is his follow-up. It's 13 essays, and Ross considers the joy we incite when we care for each other, especially through life's inevitable hardships. Throughout Inciting Joy, he explores how we can practice recognizing that connection, and also crucially, how we can grow it. In an era in which what divides us garners so much attention, Inciting Joy offers a vital alternative. What might be possible if we turn our attention to what brings us together, to what we love. I would like to put this book into the hands of every human person. It's an ambitious goal, I know, but can we do it? The Revolutionary Samuel Adams. This is a revelatory biography of arguably the most essential founding father, the one who stood behind the change in thinking that produced the American Revolution. Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Stacy Schiff brings her expert skills to Adams' improbable life, illuminating his transformation from aimless son of a well-off family to tireless, beguiling radical who mobilized the colonies. Arresting, original, and deliriously dramatic, this is a long overdue chapter in the history of our nation. Meredith Alone. Meredith Maggs has not left her house in 1,214 days. She has a full-time job remotely. She has a rescue cat, Fred. Best friend visits with her children. Her online support group, her jigsaw puzzles, her favorite recipes, her beloved Emily Dickinson, the internet, the grocery delivery man. She's fine. She's fine. Also keeping her company are treacherous memories of an unstable childhood, the estrangement from her sister, and a traumatic event that has sent her reeling. But something is about to change. Whether Meredith likes it or not, the world is coming to her door. Does she have the courage to overcome what's been keeping her inside all of this time? This is for fans of All Adults Here and Evie Drake Starts Over. Fatty Fatty Boom Boom is a wonderful memoir by Rabia Chowdhury, who is the co-host of Undisclosed, the most popular wrongful conviction podcast in the world, with nearly 360 million downloads. Stephanie seems to be a big fan, which is exciting.
I might be biased. I love that podcast, so I'm so excited.
That's awesome. You are not alone. Rabia was at ALA, and she had a lot of people there who also love the podcast. So maybe check that out. Her podcast has helped exonerate nearly a dozen people. And now she turns that incredibly powerful, piercing gaze to herself in a memoir about body image, family, and food. Growing up in a loving but sometimes oppressively concerned Pakistani immigrant family, Rabia was mercilessly teased by uncles and cousins about her weight. In fact, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom is the nickname that she had as a kid. Casual. So in this love letter with recipes, there are a bunch of recipes in the back, to Pakistani cuisine and an often hilarious dissection of life in a Muslim immigrant family, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom is a searingly honest portrait of a woman grappling with a body that gets the job done, but that refuses to meet the expectations of others. Chowdhury's memoir offers readers a relatable and powerful voice that dispenses with the politics and gets to what every woman who has ever struggled with weight will relate to. How sex changed the internet, and the internet changed sex. From the moment there was an online, there was sex online. In fact, virtually every significant development that defines the internet, privacy issues, online banking, dating, social media, streaming technology, mass data collection, came out of the meeting of sexuality and technology. This is a very lively, highly visual history. It's short, it's serious, it's entertaining, and it's very eye-opening. Before I Let Go is by award-winning and best-selling powerhouse author Kennedy Ryan. This is her absolute best, compelling, scorching novel about hope and healing and what it means to love for a lifetime. It's a steamy romance. There are complex characters, deep exploration of a couple who decides to separate after being together for a long time, but they still work together. They're co-parenting, and eventually they have the discussion of, is it worth being apart or should we be together? This is for readers of It Ends With Us, 7 Days in June, or The Heart Principle. Totally different vibes. The future is analog. For years, consumers have been promised a simple, carefree digital future. We could live, work, learn, and play from the comforts of our homes and have whatever we desire brought to our door. Instant communication would bring us together. Technological convenience would give us more time to focus on what really matters. Guess what? We found ourselves in a pandemic where all these things actually happened, and the reality turned out to not be maybe as great as we thought it would be. It turns out that leaving the house is underrated. Instant communication spreads anger better than joy, and convenience takes away time rather than giving it to us. Oops. For many people, the best part of quarantines have been the least digital ones. Baking bread, playing board games, hiking. This book suggests that if we want a healthy future, we need to choose not convenience, but community, and not technology, but humanity. I Am the Light of This World. Acclaimed author Michael Parker tells the searing and unforgettable story of one decision that irrevocably changes the course of a young man's life. Interruption. I literally could not say the word irrevocably, and I practiced saying it like 10 times, and I'm very proud of myself right here in this moment, so thank you. In the early 1970s, in Stouffville, Texas, a 17-year-old named Earl meets Tina, who convinces him to drive her to see her mother in Austin. Seems easy, no problem. Earl and Tina are separated once they get there, and 2 days later, Earl is being questioned by the police about Tina's disappearance and the blood in the trunk of his car. But Earl cannot remember what happened in Austin, and he is sentenced for a crime he did not commit. 40 years later, Earl is released into a world he can barely navigate. But just as he finds the rhythm he's always sought, his past returns to endanger the new life he's built. I Am the Light of the World is gritty, it's gripping. It's a story about loss and redemption and the power of imagination. This is for readers of Ron Rash and Rachel Kushner. All right. We're in the back half of actually back third. We're getting there. How's everybody doing? Any questions? Any thoughts?
I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to Black Power Kitchen and The Miracle of Salt. Like the cookbooks, I'm just like, I need those cookbooks. So that's how I'm feeling personally.
You have excellent taste.
Yes. I know we shouldn't eat as much salt, but I'm like, I need to get that book. I'm sorry. Like, it just has to happen.
Everything tastes better.
It does. Every single thing. So,
yeah. Who cares about blood pressure? You're fine.
Exactly.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Up next, we have Factory Girls. This is from the author of Big Girl, Small Town, which is delightful and funny. Delightful, weird book when it's set during the Troubles and everybody's a little dysfunctional, but it is a great book. And this is the same author, also takes place set during the Troubles in Ireland. It's the summer of 1994, and all Maeve Murray wants is to have gotten good grades on her final exams so she has a ticket to get out of her town and go to college. But the summer job that she takes turns out to not be the easy situation she was hoping for. This is perfect for fans of Derry Girls and novels by Douglas Stewart or Roddy Doyle. It's got biting humor. 2 thumbs up, highly recommend. The Light Pirate is for readers of Station 11 and Where the Crawdad Sings. It's a hopeful, sweeping story of survival and resilience, spanning one extraordinary woman's life as she navigates the uncertainty, brutality, and arresting beauty of a rapidly changing world. Born during a powerfully destructive hurricane, Wanda grows up in Florida, a place abandoned by civilization. No comment. Throughout her life, she loses family, gains community, and ultimately seeks adventure, love, and purpose in a place remade by nature. Moonrise over New Jessup is wonderful. Please let me know if you would like a copy. I will happily send you one. This is the winner of the 2021 Penn Bellwether Prize. for socially engaged fiction. It is a thought-provoking and enchanting debut novel about a Black woman doing whatever it takes to protect all that she loves at the beginning of the civil rights movement in Alabama. Jamila Minnick's debut is a celebration of Black joy, a timely examination of the opposing viewpoints that attended desegregation in America. It is for readers of The Vanishing Half and The Prophets, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. All right, the shortest histories. If you're not familiar with this series, it is amazing what can be packed into 300 pages or less. Everything is incredibly well researched by an expert on that subject. It has details, interesting facts, and it's just keep going. We're going to be publishing many more into this series. And finally, I'm ending with some cookbooks. You've got Twist on Tofu, which is award-winning cookbook author Corinne Trang's showing off of all she knows about tofu's versatility. There are 52 fresh and appealing recipes ranging from tofu versions of French fries, wings, tacos, to hearty chili, quiche, curry, and even some desserts. In Cooking with Whey, popular cheesemaking author Claudia Lucero shares 60 creative recipes for using whey. In Vegan Africa, this is authentically African plant-based cooking in 70 irresistible recipes that take readers on a journey across the continent. And finally, Noma 2.0. It is about true seasonality, from wild game in the fall to just picked peas in the summer. This is definitely like a chef's cookbook. You can be a home chef, that's no problem, but like you need to have a little bit of cooking experience. But Rene Redzepi is the foremost chef in the world. It seemed like an oversight to not include this book because I think it will appeal to a lot of people. It's a pricier book, so also why it might be something people want from the libraries especially. But is, like I said, he's the most influential chef in the world at the moment. Noma has been ranked the #1 restaurant in the world multiple years. This has nearly 200 dishes. It is gorgeously photographed throughout, and there are details on every recipe, so it's very accessible. And that is it for me. I feel like I was talking for 100 years, but thank you so much for sticking with me. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts? Like I said, please feel free to reach out. I'm going to put my email in the chat so you can email me if you have any questions or thoughts. HBUSA. There we go. Yeah.
Well, we know people are placing orders in real time as you were talking. So that's
amazing.
That's
I'm so
a
glad.
Good recommendation.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm glad that they appeal to, you know, there's a book for every reader, but it's nice that you feel connected to some of them. So that's
and like I'm real jealous that I can't win these books.
Oh, no, I am too.
You know. All right. Anything else before we go, anyone? If not, then
yeah, thanks, Arlene. Thanks, Robin, for your feedback.
Person.
Yeah. And feel free to email Annie if you have any questions. Like, she's really happy to help. So
totally.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lots of good comments. Yeah.
There are. Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. So nice to have you.
Consider yourself nudged, Mary Beth. I'm nudging.
I know.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here.